Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2020. I am Atlas, joined by LS, and we just had Gen.G attempt to speedrun the LCK in their most recent victory over APK. And APK, honestly, they put together a decent composition, but then just failed to pilot it. And BDD got first blood at about a minute into the game, and it felt like it was over.
Yeah, I mean, Gen.G, it was such a good early game by them, converting everything, working together in harmony with the Jarvan, with the Zoe, converting the mid priority into pressure onto Karthus, and like you mentioned at the end of last game, it was a really good way to deconstruct the Karthus and take advantage of his weaknesses and then end up just removing him essentially from the team composition. And with the Dragons coming in to sort of aid things, the game just got blown way out of control so early on. Ixu, top lane was just a non-factor all around. Player of the game going over to BDD, who is now 4 kills away from that next milestone.
Yeah, from 1,000 kills in the LCK. Also, only 100 player of the game points away from Chovy as well. A possibility that he'll be able to lock that one down if he gets player of the game here in the next game. But getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here as we check out exactly what he was able to get done here in this game. The Zoe, honestly, just having the greatest time ever here in this particular game. Just landing the bubbles. In fact, landed most of his bubbles, to be perfectly honest. BDD's Zoe was on point here today.
Yeah, it is. I mean, coming out here, I think the Zoe is actually going to be a pretty key piece in that it's really good against LeBlanc, it's really good against Aurelia, and now BDD puts himself at 900 points just below Chovy. And honestly, what I'm getting from this is that top is the best lane in the game.
Top is the best lane?
Top is the best lane. There's no top laner.
Or support. As there's one person in the Korean broadcast that decided that Clid was worth the MVP vote, and therefore it is only 8 out of 9 votes going over to BDD. I wonder who that was. It might be Dongjun, but he often looks like he's a bit frustrated about something, so I'm not entirely sure. Not 100%. As, yeah, very, very clean play coming out from BDD, but honestly, it was a pretty elementary game. And I want to see more out of APK. I want to see a game that is at least looks like it's a little bit close, right? As here we are into the draft for game number 2. Gen.G, see what they decide to ban away first now that they have the pleasure of the blue side of the map. And LeBlanc is going to be their option.
Well, LeBlanc banned away first by Gen.G. APK now banning away the set. We'll see what sort of priority they put onto Aphelios and Kalista now, being that they are on the red side, or maybe they just ban away the Zoe, as Senna is actually biting the dust now.
Certainly is a pick that Gen.G have piloted very, very well, so you can understand the Senna ban. Aphelios going to be banned on blue side here. Gen.G thinking about a different type of trade this time around, as APK might just get rid of the Kalista. And I wonder what that means. Trundle standing out. You could imagine. Is APK thinking about banning that or Kalista at this particular point in time? And the Varus is actually going to be their decision. Now Gen.G, first pick ability, likely to be the Trundle in my mind, if we know anything about our LCK teams, and that is going to be locked away.
And Trundle is picked up first, which is a very interesting B1. APK, we'll see how they end up responding to this. We'll cover, continue to just play the Aurelia.
Makes it a bit harder for APK just to insta-lock Kalista Taric right here, because the Trundle does do a bit of a number onto Kalista. But still, that is going to be where their heads are at, and they're going to lock away the Kalista, likely to be paired with the Taric and in Flawless's position.
Well, let's take a look at what the second lock-in is going to be. Gen.G.
I'd like for it to be Zoe here, to be honest. Take it away from BDD.
Yeah, that would be definitely interesting. The other thing is that if Taric does get locked in here, it opens up the ability for Azir to come out by Gen.G.
True.
It's going to be Rek'Sai. Okay, so they're not getting Taric right away. Perhaps they want a different kind of bot lane dynamic.
Could be the Thresh for Secret. Make sure that he can keep Hybrid out of danger with his Lantern. It's certainly a possibility here as Gen.G look for a misfortune once again. Seems to be the key matchup into the Kalista. We had a look at that matchup, I believe, as far as just the one-on-one so far. And it has certainly been misfortune favored. As she's been picked 96 times. Close to 100 here in the LCK for Spring. And still hasn't got that win percentage up after her very lackluster debut into the LCK for Spring. She was win rate less for a lot of it, as BDD looks to just lock away the Zoe pretty clean and comfortably.
Zoe coming in, and now what is Cover going to respond to this with? Because it would be really bizarre to see him pick the Aurelia yet again. Obviously, LeBlanc has been taken away. A more traditional response in a position like this would probably be something like a Syndra, but with the Trundle there and wondering, I mean, a big question mark on how good is Cover Syndra or something. Okay, well, we're going to get the answer to that now.
Yeah, it's just going to be locked in. And with the Rek'Sai Syndra combo in that mid lane, there is a chance that they can just try to shut down BDD in this early game with repetitive ganks. Of course, the tunnel into knockup can work out against the Zoe, who is not gank immune in any way. But we'll see whether Cover can actually set up for that as the Yuumi to be banned away. Life not going to get his hands on that one. Probably our second best Yuumi here in the LCK is Life. Certainly able to have some pretty decent performances, but not this game. Now Gen.G, where are they going to focus? Possibility that they do decide to take away the Taric here, which I think would be a pretty decent idea. But 6 seconds to go. We'll see what they do decide to prioritize.
Well,
all right, we're looking at Ixu.
Yeah, Alawi getting banned away. As perhaps they're thinking that APK just wants to make Syndra the only source of magic damage, which does make it a bit problematic. But if Ixu would end up going for something like the Zillion up in top lane, it does give you more itemization options against APK's champ pool, as Nautilus does now bite the dust as well.
And it might just be an Aatrox ban here to try and force Ixu onto one of his more eclectic picks, like you were talking about, on the top side. Make sure that there is a little bit more magic damage, like you were talking about. But 5 seconds to go. Where are Gen.G going to go? I mean, I think that, Taric will be a decent ban, and that is going to come in here for Gen.G, just to make sure that Kalista Taric's not going to be an option. And I could imagine that Thresh is probably where Secret wants to go in this fourth pick, and leave that counter pick option available to Ixu. Ooh, not going to be the case, though, as we're looking at an Ornn, or are we looking at a champ? That's the question. 2 seconds to go.
Yeah.
I wonder what this means for Secret, unless this is actually going to be Ornn support. Possible. Not likely.
And I mean, interestingly enough here, the Ornn, it's really good against the Zoe, it's really good against the Misfortune. And it can even be good against the Trundle, but now Gen.G, they're hovering the Braum. And what top lane champion are they going to pick? I mean, Akali is still open, but are they really going to run this back?
They could pick the Sylas if they'd like to.
Yeah, they could also take the Sylas. Sylas doesn't have the best of ultimates currently on the side of APK. He does have the Ornn and the Syndra. Rek'Sai gets a little bit weird with him because it really depends on a lot of other variables, but here's hovering it, and he does lock it in.
All right. My stream just died, so
okay.
I have absolutely no idea who they just locked, but it is going to be the Sylas as I get back up to live. There we go.
And
Nailed
APK,
it.
they locked... Oh, you're back?
Yeah, I did it.
I was going to say they locked Teemo.
Aww. That's
then
not
make you
Teemo.
play-by-play it.
Well, there's 5 seconds to go as Secret is thinking about what he wants to take away. Rakan. All right. Kalista Rakan was some big picks in the LCK, but that was when Rakan was much stronger. So, very interesting that they've decided to go for this one. We'll see what Secret's plan is for this one.
Well, the Kalista Rakan is interesting. We haven't seen the dynamic in quite a while against the MF and Braum. We'll see how Hybrid and Secret manage to pilot it. Once again, APK, they don't find themselves necessarily with a bad draft whatsoever. Now, Taric is lacking in this regard. Mid-game can be a little bit rougher. However, the late game is there. Taric, no stranger to picking up Redemption, so he'll have Salvation, Might of the Ruin King on Kalista, Rabadon's Death Crown on the Syndra, Obsidian Cleaver on the Rek'Sai, although no one's really getting benefit from that. This is actually one of the games where I think Lethality Rek'Sai is correct. Umbral Glaive, Yumu's Wraithblade. We're probably not going to see it, but it makes, I think, the most sense. You control the early game, you mitigate pressure the opponents can throw at you in mid-game with Umbral Glaive vision control, and then you get the Yumu's Wraithblade for added lethality, and your entire burst start to finish against the opponents is greater than with the Black Cleaver, because you're not amplifying the damage for anyone other than Kalista. And even if you are, it's probably only on one target. So, flip side, Sylas, Trundle, Zoe, Misfortune, Braum, lots of mid-game potency, a lot of focus on the Zoe, and anytime Rascal can steal the Ornn ultimate.
Yeah, and we'll see whether they can teamfight around that effectively, and whether Life can get his Unbreakables in the right position to deny the Ornhorns of the opposition. But here we are, into game number 2, Gen.G versus APK. We'll see whether Gen.G can continue their speed run of this particular series. Also, by the way, Hybrid has, of course, taken heal. No cleanse up against the Zoe this time around. But we'll see whether the QSS does eventually come in as Ruler and Life just chilling here towards the bottom side. And it's just a 5-point defense system here for Gen.G. And they're not actually going to go for any sort of early vision control, as you can see, towards the bottom side or anything like that, as Rascal spots Ixu moving around here in his own topside jungle.
And it looks like Gen.G, for the most part, they are playing pretty safe with where they're choosing to stand early on. Kalista could maybe be... Well, they do know. They have an idea. They sniffed it out.
Yep, Grand Entrance not actually going to be in range there for Secret. So, in the end, nothing actually happens.
And I think Gen.G, I mean, they're probably going to win this game regardless. Again, just like in game number 1, due to the dynamics of the draft, even though I think APK's draft isn't that bad, I don't think they're going to play it the way that one would expect. And also, we have a bit of a sinner on Syndra.
Yeah,
she has the Scorch.
Unfortunate. Therefore, okay, BD also picked the gap with his Paddle Star. Was looking for cover with that one, I believe. But no harm, no foul. Not going to miss out on any farm or anything like that. As we'll see how Ixu's going to go on his Ornn up here towards the top side, up against Rascal on the Sylas. We've seen this work and seen it not work, but I think it's more often than not actually been a decent matchup for the Sylas. As it stands, Clid getting some aggressive vision here onto Flawless, who went from his Wolf Camp to his Red, and will head towards his Krug Camp afterwards. So a bit of an interesting clear as far as what he's decided to do. But will probably be spotted out here by Clid as he moves back down towards his Raptor camp.
Yeah. And Cover, meanwhile, taking a pretty hefty trade against BDD in mid. Also, important to note, he has Phase Rush, not Electrocute. And also running the Cleanse, whereas Zoe, Spellbook and Teleport. So Zoe just has to play an Econ game against the Syndra in order to win the lane, even though Syndra vs. Zoe is very favored for Syndra, just in terms of the dynamic of the matchup in isolation, as well as in the later stages of the game, how things can tend to evolve, as Flawless does locate Clid here. I don't know what either of them are thinking
just
to do.
Walking on past here. It's called the drive-by. Love it. He's going to wander past his jungler, build himself a Ruby Crystal, and just going to walk back to his lane as they look to try and clear out some vision. Flawless does find the first Rift Scuttler. Might be able to find the second one as well, because he took that one down extraordinarily quickly. And Clid is going to get to work on his Wolf Camp, as Flawless's Raptors seem to be where he wants to go. Looking here towards the bottom side, Hybrid's actually ahead by a little bit of farm that should be mitigated, as somehow that bubble landed, but thankfully so does the Scat of the Week, as Ixu, taking way too much damage here from Rascal, actually turns around for an auto attack, and that's going to mean that the trade goes even better for Rascal there. But Ixu's got a lot of minions yet to pick up, and so should actually continue on his trajectory of having a pretty positive creep score up against the Sylas.
And, I mean, the way that everything is panning out right now, this is actually favorable for Gen.G. Even though Flawless, he did manage to start with a double scuttle opening. As, okay, we got a pause.
Yeah, a little bit of a pause. Not entirely sure who actually instigated the sepia mode, but we'll get some information for you from our producers as to what has actually gone wrong. I hope it's not another toilet issue. Oh my goodness. We might see the points deducted, actually. I think that there has been one warning given over to Griffin, but otherwise not too much. Okay, so there's a little bit of a Discord issue, apparently, and so in about 3 minutes' time, we will get word as to what has actually occurred there, and we'll look to see whether we can get back into this game. But otherwise, I mean, LS, how's life?
You know, things are going well. This week is it's pretty full. LCS is happening on weekdays.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. Is it Valorant?
Valorant?
Am I saying it
Valorant?
right?
I just call it Valorant, but I don't know whether that's right or wrong.
I have a weird thing with names. You might have noticed by now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I haven't noticed that.
You never know. Okay, well,
No.
It came out, and yeah, that came out. I haven't played it. Don't intend to play it. But
oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a shot. I reckon it looks interesting.
All right. Well, I've never been a big fan of FPSs.
Well,
personally.
I'm terrible at them, but I think that they're fun. You know, it's one of those things. I enjoyed playing Overwatch well back in the day when it first came out. That was a bit of fun, and I never really got into CS:GO because I thought like it was too serious, and it just wasn't really for me. But this looks like a nice mix between the two, so I'm going to give it a crack and see how it is. Yeah,
well, I am lost
that's what I'm
sight.
thinking.
So
Yeah.
FPSs, they're a little bit different for me. But also, I'm someone that has a lot of difficulty wanting to play 2 games at once if I don't really identify with something else that's going on, like maybe with the lore. Like, I have no problem playing World of Warcraft because I find the game to be vastly different, and it's not competitive. I mean, it has competitive aspects, but
it's more of like the relaxation game in between
yeah.
queues, that sort of thing. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I use RPGs for that mostly. That's generally where my head's at. But I'm like maximum 2 games at a time, generally, is how I work. Sort of like got a couple on the go. Otherwise, I struggle to like be a full multi-gamer. But yeah.
Well,
my next game is going to be, I beg your pardon? You have egg salad?
I ate egg salad.
Oh, how was it?
It was actually fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for some dinner after this. I had haejanguk for lunch today. I wasn't even hungover. That, guys, literally translates to hangover soup. But it was delicious. Went out and got some. By the way, have you noticed that we're holding hands in the Twitch stream?
Yeah, they
picture?
they don't raise the image because it's very Kappa Pride.
Yeah, they can't quite see just how handholdy it is, but
that's why you're smiling so big.
I can confirm that we are holding hands, and look at how comfortable you look as well in the picture. And now the chat is 100% Kappa Pride. That's what we wanted, guys. Thank you so much for that. And whoa. Silver Horace with like 4,000 Kappa Prides. I'm surprised you didn't get banned for spamming there, but congratulations, managed to get it through.
Yeah,
slipped it past the mods, as it were.
Honestly, they are a bit interesting.
Yeah, there's not a lot of social distancing between these Kappas.
No, there's
it's not
absolutely
good.
not.
Can we limit to like 2 Kappas? Okay, this is what's happening in Australia. Have I spoken to you about this as far as like the coronavirus answers and stuff like that? Like,
oh no, tell me.
You're actually banned from hanging out with more than one other person in public, like ever. Like if you're seen stationary with more than 2 people in a group, you get fined like $1,600, which is just ridiculous. Also, if you're caught doing a task that is not considered essential, like buying groceries, for example, you can also be fined
How much?
like the same amount.
That is a lot of Twitch Primes.
That's many, many Twitch Primes, my friend.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
I'm sweating.
Yeah, well, thankfully we're in Korea where we have less of that. I feel like we have certainly seen the worst of it at this particular point in time. Still staying vigilant, guys, being as safe as possible, but it certainly feels like the rest of the world is struggling a little bit more than Korea is at this particular point in time. But I think that's because we started with it a little bit sooner. As speaking of starting things, we're going to start the game again, as it seems that Discord has sorted itself out. So that's your slight Pog State episode that you had for a moment, that are now back to video games.
Alice, I really appreciated all of that information about Australia.
Oh, thanks, man. I had a chat with my mom recently, and she was telling me about it. She hasn't been going against any of the plans or anything like that, so it's good. My parents also have a veggie patch, so they don't need to go to the grocery store quite as often as others. My dad has been very proud of himself. Like, his veggie patch is like his pride and joy. He likes it probably more than any human being should, to be honest.
Perfect.
But there's my too much information that no one really cared about, and let's get back to the game. Cover, trying to trade with B2D and missed a whole bunch of spheres. B2D winning out on the health trades and, of course, the consumable trades and mana trades. Just feeling pretty good on the zone.
Yeah, I mean, the way that the lane phase is going right now, I mean, BDD will have the spellbook available in about 30 seconds, so he'll be able to swap out for whatever it is that he needs. Cover getting very low in the mana department. Does have a biscuit, does still have a corrupting potion charge left, but BDD is absolutely winning the econ war. And I don't know what it is with APK mid laners when it comes to Syndra, but their mana control is abysmal. Like, yeah, Haney had some of the worst mana management I saw in any LCK mid laner ever. And everything else considered, Ocean Dragon, it's the first one of the game, but there's not a whole lot of excitement happening super early. Both of these team compositions, outside of the dynamic of Syndra and Rek'Sai versus Zoe and Trundle, nothing should realistically be able to happen that would cause kills or fights to break out.
That bubble was very, very close. But the Gen.G are able to protect their control ward. Life in the river here as well, as Flawless wants to come over and get a steal. Not going to be able to, as Clid is going to put down his frozen domain. And now Secret with the battle dance, looking to try and get aggressive. Does find Life there, as this could be a possible kill. Decent knockup comes down. The Ignite is now ticking as Flawless does find the first blood. Looks like he will be going down as well, though, as Hybrid pierces his way over the wall, but still worthwhile for APK as they got that first blood gold.
Yeah, they trade over. They get the kill onto the Rek'Sai, whereas Trundle gets the kill as well. So both kills onto the junglers. And aside from that, we're probably not in store for all too much happening. Trundle is now going to move maybe towards the right-hand side river. They know that cover very low on his mana pool, Ruler, at about 60% HP. Clid just going to clear out the ward at Dragon, as maybe now that triggers Secret to go back and check on it. No, not quite. Recall now coming in, as we're just playing ping pong. Rascal has the Ornn ultimate available, but Ixu doing a really good job in the laning phase. He's up in CS.
Yeah, Ixu actually doing a really great job as we have a look at this replay.
So Clid and Life were the ones that actually initiated this. They went in, didn't anticipate Secret to be exactly where he is. Life got locked up, Exhaust came out. They ended up not getting the lockup onto the Rek'Sai via the Braum passive in time, so Life did end up dying, as Cover did manage to apparently get a recall off.
Yeah,
which is
he's down
a
in
bit
farm.
surprising.
Yeah, he's down in farm, but otherwise he's feeling okay. As Flawless going to make his way in. Rascal going to flash the ultimate, but Ixu's going to flash after him. It looks like they are going to be able to grab this kill, as there's the other Ornn, but it's going to go unrequited as Flawless is going to fall down. Bubble not going to land there onto Ixu, and he makes it out with his life. But it's once again that 1-for-1 trade. There's the knockup as Secret. He's going to get stunned and destroyed. That's a whoopsie.
Yeah, and Hybrid didn't save him with the Fate's Call, so Hybrid probably not even expecting that damage to end up coming out, or at least not in the manner that it did. And Cover just letting BDD back into mid for no reason, doesn't even bother trying to go for a stun or any sort of a combo, which is really perplexing there. And let's take a look at how this all transpired. So Rascal doesn't summon his ultimate right away, which is really surprising because had he summoned it, the Ram already would have been there. He would have been able to initiate a knockup. Obviously, Flawless would respond by activating his ultimate, going underground, avoiding it. But then you take a look at this replay, and what ended up happening here is Secret. He goes in for a knockup onto Ruler, whiffs, gets locked up, and I don't think anyone really expected that to happen.
I think there certainly were windows to press your R button on Hybrid's side, so I'd probably say that's a bit of an unforced error there out of the APK bottom lane, but let's see what Secret can do as he makes his way back down. The quickness not yet available, but we'll have that one up pretty soon. As now Ruler clears out that minion wave, has about a 10 CS advantage. Hybrid nowhere near his Blade of the Ruin King just yet. Needs the recurve bow and the completion of the recipe before that one's done, as Essence Reaver on the way for Ruler also. Mid lane, we've got Zoe heading back to base. Does have Lost Chapter as well as some Merc Treads. In fact, both sides of the matchup with the Merc Treads in hand. As Clit over here does have Shelly available, and we'll see where he puts that one down as this game continues. But as you can see, it's only 100 gold the difference between these two teams, and APK did manage to grab the Cloud Drake, as Mountain Drake is going to be available in 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big pickup for both of these teams. Trundle and Silas will both have resistances, Braum as well. Zoe will have a little bit in the later stages, probably will end up picking up Banshee's Veil at some point during this game, but obviously Ornn needs not an introduction to resistant stats. Syndra as well probably likewise would pick up Banshees later down the line. Flawless, even incentivized to pick up some sort of magic resistance. And the game is just sort of at a standstill right now. Definitely a lot slower than game number 1, even though 5 kills have already taken place. APK definitely doing much better this time around.
Yeah, this is a far different performance. And remember last time, I mean, it was First Blood that happened in a minute's time, right? And that meant that Genji started off with a huge momentum lead. But this time around, not going to be the case, and it's been a lot of trading when it comes to the kills. There's the decent double knockup. Flash has to be used. Oh! Sorry, the heal has to be used. As Flawless going to get exhausted immediately. Good knockup comes in. And now Flawless trying to tunnel his way out, but I don't know whether he's going to be okay, as the subjugation is ticking down. That's why you pop your potions, everyone. As he is going to be able to make it out alive. As now BDD looking for cover. No stun to come down. He even takes a turret shot as instantly the cleanse comes in. And cover not going to be CC, but does find himself down a summoner spell.
Finds himself down a summoner spell, and just overall in a pretty awkward lane state right now. As speaking of awkward lane states, I mean, this one is about as awkward as it gets. Ornn coming in with his ult.
Yep, but Unbreakable is going to be their life immediately. Stands behind Ruler, and Ixu is stifled. Now is going to fall behind Rascal, as he didn't want to do that. He had a very good position in his lane, as the bubble is going to come in, and multiple tunnels utilized there by Flawless to get himself to a safe position. Life completely out of mana, and APK are playing very well here towards the bottom side, keeping that pressure up.
Interestingly enough, Ixu's actually still ahead in XP, even after missing those 2 waves that Rascal was able to crash. And I think a lot of this has to come from that kill up in top lane, as well as just some of the early game trading. Perhaps Rascal was zoned out of some of the CS early. And so as it currently stands, I mean, for the most part, everyone's pretty even. You have 132 to 128 down in bot lane, 17 versus 16 down in the support department, and then 133 versus 130 in mid, 70 to 75. I mean, this is one of the closest early to mid transitions that I think that we've had in the LCK. And normally, I would say that, okay, if the roles were reversed, I would say that Gen.G are super far ahead if they have APK's team composition. The thing is that when factoring in that it is Gen.G, when the Silas, the Zoe, etc., there's a lot of individual playmaking and skill expression that can come out on these champions, I still don't feel super comfortable for APK, even though they've been showing many signs of life in recent weeks and been playing really good. I still think they're not out of the woods yet with their team.
Especially not after coming off game number 1 in the manner that it was, right? Game 1 was definitely a demonstration that Gen.G are just better players at this point in time. Right now, they do have decent vision available, but Clid's going to sweep that one out. Now, Cover dealing with this minion wave in mid. B2D not actually too worried here as he's looking for the bubble. Does find it now as the flash has to be used, and B2D looks for the paddle star. Flashes on over as well as he's got the cleanse. The last auto not going to come down, and there's the Hail of Blades value. As we see in the bottom side of the map, the action continues as Hybrid not going to be taken down just yet, and Life has to flash away. APK come alive.
APK, they managed to get 2 really clutch kills at a very important point in this game as Rascal, when the camera pans to him, he's getting out-traded. Subjugate comes in. Cover's going to go down, though. So that's a nice punchback by Clid. Clid's going to...
maybe die? No, Life is going to be here to keep him alive. So Cover falls, and that's going to answer some of that aggression from APK. As teleport towards the bottom side of the map here for B2D. He's got the Ignite now picked up with his Unsealed Spellbook as well, so look to see whether he can use that to go aggressive. As our ultimates both available here on the top side, is Ixu going to lose out on a trade there for the moment, and there's the Ornhorn. Knockup comes in, but Bellow's Breath is going to deny it. There's a good Kingslayer as we have another Ornhorn, but this time it's going to miss. And we'll see whether Ixu can get the trade back. We're just waiting for Rascal to find yet another Kingslayer, and that's going to turn that trade on its head. And you can see Ixu decides he doesn't want anything to do with it. We are going to balance out the Drakes, and another Infernal Soul now available.
Yeah, and so Infernal Soul coming up is going to be really good. BDD managing to actually dodge that QE combo. And right here, I mean, that's why you pop your potions, Atlas. No auto attack came in. That is the most unlucky trade by BDD that could ever possibly happen. And then down here in bot, Hybrid just barely managing to live with one last tick of the MF ultimate. Here, Cover trying to get the wave crash in, and apparently the screen cuts.
Yeah, it's because we almost had a kill there onto Ruler bottom side. No one else had died while we were witnessing that one, but first turret will go down in favor of APK. 4 minutes until that Infernal Drake is available. And right now, APK have a bit of an advantage. Ixu going to spot that Shirley is no longer in her pit. And BDD going to help Clid out as he moves on down here. Now Rascal going to pick up that responsibility. Ixu dealing with minions underneath his turret. They're not going to be able to stop this one. And Clid's just going to lock that one down, but not exactly the end of the world here for APK. As Cover's just doing a decent job clearing out minions. He's got Luden's Echo, same as B2D. And this is a very different game to game number 1. That was B2D being in constant control. And this time around, a little bit more honest on the Zoe. Flawless does find Rascal with the Void Seeker. Sorry, Prey Seeker. There's a lot of Seekers in this game.
There absolutely is.
It's like a game of Quidditch.
Yeah.
Ixu over to the side, looking to try and keep them okay as Clid fighting with Flawless, but he gets it turned on him. Instantly goes down. 3-man knockup, though, from Secret is huge as there's the Ornhorn. Another multi-man knockup comes in as the Ram is going to town on this squad, but Rascal looking to try and keep himself alive. Triple kill so far for this Silas, flashing in and out of this team fight. As now BDD gets himself a heal as well. Blade of the Ruined King, Cover not going to die just yet, though, and he's going to be able to pick up the kill onto the Silas in the end. Battlestar will secure it. And now Ixu with the Bellows Breath is looking to try and be the one-man army for APK, but doesn't get the knock-up onto Clid, and BDD will secure the double kill in the end. And Ruler wasn't even there.
Ruler was not at that team fight. He was busy getting all of the bot waves, getting 2 turrets down in bot lane as well. And just take a look at how this all transpires. So knock up onto Clid initially, Flawless trying to do enormous amounts of damage. Secret flashes the wall, gets a multi-man knockup. Ixu's ultimate a little bit late, but not the end of the world. He ends up getting so much out. Rek'Sai ultimate actually utilized by Rascal, and then Cover. I don't know what he was paying attention to right there, but Rascal lives because Cover wasn't focusing him as he's approaching the team fight, perhaps thinking that he was just dead or on his last leg, but Silas with all of the sustain, getting all the HP back inside of this team fight time and time again, able to live and just dish out so much damage consistently, and then BDD with all the repositioning on the Zoe, all the spells that she was able to pick up as well. Just absolutely fantastic. BDD is 2 kills away from the milestone as well. And Gen.G propelled themselves into a massive advantage now off the back of that team fight.
Yeah, really beautiful stuff. You have to hand it to Rascal. He played that one stunningly, choosing exactly the right ultimate to hijack just to make sure that he could keep himself untargetable and able to slink around these team fights. Now has himself a 300 gold bounty after all was said and done. And this went from this lane being honestly Ixu favored to now being in a fantastic position for this Sylas.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, he is completing the Proto Belt, so valuing the utility that the dash will end up giving you. Already has the Luden's Echo as well. 45 seconds until the Infernal Dragon comes up. And they're just in such a good position. And this is the best possible dragon that Gen.G could have rolled at this point in the game. Because if they end up getting the Infernal Soul, the ornaments aren't going to matter in a tanky regard at all. And the Zoe will just one-shot everyone. Love the Magi Soul Sealer pickup by the Zoe as well. It truly is the better book. As 6 stacks right now, any kill will then grant BDD the Magi's passive. And, I mean, there's not really that much of a better mid-game spike that you could ask for than having Magi's fully coming online.
Yeah, and the bubble barely missing Flawless there, as you could see. So he's not going to be able to go back home, and if he does, that's going to be a free Infernal Drake over to Gen.G, and it looks like they've recognized that. Clid goes on over. They should be able to start that one up, and with BDD's help, lock it down. Hybrid does have the 2 items that he's been looking for on this Callista. And trying to get some damage there, but as you can see, Drake is going to fall down, and there is nowhere else for APK to go. They're just going to give it up without any of a fight. It's not going to be Infernal Soul or anything like that, or Soul Point. But now 5 minutes, and that Soul Point will be available for Gen.G.
So Zoe got 9 AP and 4 AD, I believe. So
not bad
good.
At all.
Not bad. And I mean, it's only going to get bigger as the next 4 items do come in. Magi's as well. Second Infernal now, 4.5 minutes away. And if you just look at the pacing of this game, you would assume Gen.G are going to be the ones that should manage to get that dragon. I would find it pretty difficult to believe that the game state wouldn't be favorable for them at that point. Syndra, I believe, is going Banshee's Veil, second item. We're going to see what BDD ends up going for his second item. He does have the Blasting Wand, so I think Banshee's is perfectly fine. But I imagine that if he was going for Oblivion Orb or something like that, he would have simply purchased an Amp Tome first. Obviously, another option is Void Staff, but there's not a lot of magic resistance on the side of APK.
Yeah, they're not too worried about that one at this particular point in time. So we'll see where he does decide to go. We've got another Vamp Scepter there for Hybrid, who will be going towards his Bloodthirster as his next item. And Gen.G, like you were talking about, just in full control right now after that one pivotal team fight. Only a bit over 2,000 gold the lead here for them, as Flawless will find Clid. Tremor Sense working out very, very well here for the Rek'Sai. As Life will just stand behind Ruler. Baron gets a little bit upset, but Guardian will keep Life alive. No worries there whatsoever. As ornaments are starting to trickle in. Level 13 now gained by Ixu, has himself his Fortifier Cape as well as his Abyssal Mask upgraded. And APK will be at least able to utilize that to try and make up for any statistical disadvantage that they are in at the moment, given the gold lead that Gen.G do hold above them. But, like, look at the bounties here on Gen.G. Just shows how far ahead they are in gold.
And that is also one of the dangerous things that can end up happening, is if one team fight simply goes the way of APK, there is still standing gold on that mid-tier 1 turret that Cover and Hybrid are trying to get right now. Misfortune Ultimate comes out, wave clears everything. Here we go.
Yeah, Gen.G looking for it. Cover going down very, very low here, desperately trying to get himself out of the way as Flawless just fighting against the Sylas, and Rascal eventually does fall down. Now it's a 4v5. 4-man knockup is huge, as Fate's Call also able to lock down Gen.G. Ixu in the front line, definitely doing well here. So far it's a 2 for 0, and BDD not able to land the Paddle Star or the Bubble to try and fight back. It looks like APK have found their footing.
APK, they find a really big team fight victory, and they seem to be very indecisive with what they want their follow-up to be. They know that Rascal has teleport available. Now, the thing is that in this replay that we're going to take a look at in a second, the big question for me is, why are we doing this? As you're going to see that MF's ultimate just went on cooldown. Take a look at where Rascal is, and also where BDD is. Cover, he does flash away, but if APK can get into the river, it's so powerful for Ornn. Rascal gets locked up by all the members of APK, and this looks very Dom-wanted. This is something you would see very often in teams that either have a tendency to sort of int it forward. Sandbox, obviously, another team in the LCK. You'll see this very often if you watch LCS or LEC. There's no objective up. There's nothing really being contested or fought over. But one team that's in the driver's seat with the advantage is all too willing to just have a high variance fight.
Yeah, and we'll see whether it continues as this game goes on. A little bit out of character for Gen.G, who are very methodical in a lot of their other games. But that was biting off a little bit more than they could chew. You could see exactly what they were looking for. They wanted to eliminate cover from the team fight before he could do anything. But as soon as that bubble missed, maybe it was time for Gen.G to disengage. As Ruler, of course, like you were talking about, did not have his ultimate available and couldn't deny any of the damage out of Hybrid. Plus, Ixu getting so much value out of his Ornn. Good to watch. And so far, the team fights in this game have been a real step up from what we saw in game number 1, which really was APK rolling over and dying.
Well, definitely is a bit uncharacteristic. And when you see those kind of fights, it almost leaves you thinking like, well, the lull states are actually probably just better than doing that, because the variance is just really, really high. Infernal Dragon, it's coming up in 10 seconds.
Ooh,
neither is really the correct decision. Let's see what happens here.
Yep, Ornn will come out here, but will Ixu actually survive? The answer is no, and even Unbreakable going to deny any sort of CC availability there. But it's now returned. Rascal hits it on over, but not going to find any knockups. Trouble Bubble lands onto Flawless, but he's going to tunnel his way to the Raptor camp and into safety. But now, without Ixu for 30 seconds, it should be an Infernal Drake pickup here for Gen.G, who should continue their way forward. Flawless, Make It Rain comes down. He's unable to actually take down that control ward. And Life is going to return the favor there, also taking down some tunnels. As Clid, he's just getting to work on this Infernal Dragon, and he's not going to be answered. As Hybrid has his Bloodthirster completed. I mean, this is a very strong Kalista for this point in the game, especially with the Might of the Ruined King now in his back pocket as well. It just doesn't feel like they have control of this game the way they want to, and Gen.G are starting to run away with it.
Gen.G are really far ahead at this point with the double Infernal Dragon, with the items starting to come online, so it is going to be the Banshee's Veil for BDD. That's fantastic pickup for him. And Spirit Visage on the Trundle, Warden's Mail as well. QSS even picked up on the Misfortune in the event that you would ever end up getting locked down for some reason, as APK just randomly posturing in mid.
Yeah, and Cover
really
also just walking over that Trouble Bubble, has to put his cleanse on cooldown. Big for any next team fights that are going to be coming up in a few minutes' time. As you can see, Gen.G moving on over, clear out all of the vision in this Baron pit. And Ixu may have found Rascal here. Hybrid moves on over as well, but he's on a ward. Rascal just going to walk his way out. No harm, no foul. The secret gets the quickness stolen, or borrowed, or copied. Copied's probably the right term.
This is one of the game states where Syndra, who's traditionally a pretty big AP carry, she's gonna feel really bad. So many targets on the enemy team have magic resistance. It doesn't really feel like she's doing anything, and she just offers instead a lot of utility and support. And
Bubble is huge there, as Flawless has to flash to get himself out of the way. And Ixu doesn't find any value. He's just going to build himself something. Not entirely sure what it was. His Cover is delivered his first masterwork item. But it's not going to be the Rabadon's Death Crown. It is just the Luden's Pulse, and not exactly the optimal choice there, but they need as much power now as they can get.
And 3 minutes until the Infernal, and that will be the Soul. So even if APK want to just try to play the scaling game for the next couple of minutes. They're eventually going to be forced to fight once that dragon is up. The Void Staff was actually completed by BDD. I guess looking at all of the items right now, there are 3 Merc Treads on the enemy team. Also, obviously, in the Infernal Mask and the Null Magic Mantle as well on the Ornn. So looks like BDD doesn't want to play controlled via the Banshee's Veil. Instead, just wants to have as much damage as possible with the Void Staff.
I respect that. And Zoe being able to really make people pay for stepping on bubbles is what you want in a mid-game like this. Close to ticking on over towards 30 minutes and 2.5 minutes until the Infernal Soul will be available for Gen.G. Secret does find himself his Gleaming Quill onto life, but that doesn't really do anything. And Gen.G just hustling for position right now, playing some ping pong in the mid lane, as we love to talk about. As Ixu and Flawless, we're looking for the team fight. Quickness is decent there from Secret, but he's unable to get too much done. Fate's Call comes out as Hybrid.
Oh!
He QSS's nothing because he can't QSS damage as Ixu's going to charge his way in, and now Rascal looking to turn it. Gets a double knock up, and there's the battle dance from Secret to get himself out of the way. Ixu, I don't think he's got any other escape tools left as the Searing Charge does come in, and now the chase potential of Gen.G is on full display. Decent turnaround, though, there as the Grand Entrance does lock down cleared, and now APK are looking for more. Flawless into the backline, gets rid of BDD and so many of those Magi stacks, and the Prey Seeker locks down the double kill for the Rek'Sai.
And BDD just lost so much AP as well. It wasn't just the Magi stacks, it's also all the AP granted by the Magi's. It's also amplified by the Infernal Dragon, and that's a really big problem because this team fight, yet again, Atlas, what was the reason for it? You had 1.5 minutes until Infernal Dragon. Things were starting off really good for Gen.G, and then they just played it so reckless and way too fast. Rascal barely managing to live right there. Clid cannot get into the...
He was looking for a 50-50, and it certainly was one, but Rend and Smite timed very well here by APK, who steal away the Baron. This game is not over by any means, as we've got 35 seconds before the Infernal Drake, and now a Baron on top of APK.
So you just take a look at the side waves here, and Gen.G, they don't have to take this fight. Infernal's up in 1 minute and 30. Bullet time comes out, Hybrid's at 50% HP. Okay, everything can end here. They have jungle camps up, they could go back, but instead Ornahorn comes out. The pillar that ends up being summoned, it actually doesn't pin Flawless into Gen.G. Had that happened, they would have killed him, and then the fight, APK would just keep backing off, nothing transpires. Congratulations, you got 300 gold. Instead, they freed for the end of the game, chasing into the blue side jungle. Hybrid able to be all the way healed back up via the lifesteal onto the Gromp. They get the double kill onto the Rek'Sai. BDD died as well, and now APK, they get an Infernal Dragon. They have the gold lead. They're all amplified, ornaments coming in, and Gen.G have punted this game away now.
They have. This is well and truly out of their control, and in fact, APK have themselves a slight gold advantage with this Baron still ticking down. 1.5 minutes still available, a little bit more than that, in fact. And these ornaments are rolling through. We've got Might of the Ruined King, Obsidian Cleaver, a whole lot of different items here for APK to make use of, so that gold advantage that you see at the top of your screen is actually larger than you might otherwise expect, as Rascal looking to clear away some vision. Ixu in the area as well, but not wanting to go too aggressive right now without the information as they ping out cover towards the top side. He's just looking to keep pushing as Hybrid here in the mid lane. Feeling very comfortable, honestly, on this Kalista. Not too worried as BDD doesn't find a paddle star, but does find a bubble onto the Kalista. But he's sitting on his QSS. Hybrid, congratulations. He's picked up a QSS for what feels like the first time ever.
And at this point, the game is in a bit of a stalemate. Only 50 seconds remaining on the Baron, so APK will certainly be able to raise this top tier 2, get some gold in that regard. And things are really looking very rough. Now, this time around, I do want to point out, Clid with the Frozen Heart doesn't have as much value as he did in the previous game with it. Syndra and Ornn don't really care that much for Khan, not really influenced either, and Rek'Sai, well, Rek'Sai is trying to achieve different things inside of the team fight. So if he's ever exactly on top of Kalista, yes, it does help. Baron gonna dissipate in about 10 seconds. The gold score still very even, and this game can easily go to another Infernal Soul fight. And if Gen.G get that, they should still win the game, but if APK denies another Infernal Soul and they get it for themselves, APK are going to be really far ahead.
Not to mention APK now having access to second Baron, which is also a lot more to deal with than what the initial one is going to be. So Gen.G going to have to be very conscious of a potential trade because, yes, Infernal Soul's very strong, especially when it's a triple stacked Infernal Drake, but that's going to be a Baron that does last for a long time here for APK to use to crush down the base. So let's see exactly how this one's going to go, as the Baron and Infernal will be available at basically exactly the same time. As 2,000 gold is approximately the lead here for APK, as Hybrid's going to take a red buff. He's got a GA as well as his QSS. He's staring down 6 items very, very soon. As there's the Ornhorn, Hybrid just avoids it entirely. And now that big cooldown is not going to be available for the next fight. Of course, Rascal will have his hijack available again very, very soon, as it's level 3, but it's not going to be able to be used on Ixu for a very long time. As you can see, that chain still got a fair bit to go down.
Yeah. 1 minute and 50 seconds until the next dragon does end up coming up, so we're just going to have a lot of ping-ponging, and APK, they find themselves in a pretty good game state. They just need to keep playing ping-pong. It looks like they want to rotate down to the bottom tier 2 now. This gold and this turret capture, it's not the end of the world. Now, MF isn't here, so Gen.G probably should just give this up, and they are. Rascal sort of waiting for the wave to come into him.
Yep, not going to go too aggressively, as total gold does put Hybrid in a massive advantage against anyone on the opposing side or his team. He's 5,000 gold ahead of everyone, apart from Ruler. Just crazy stuff. This Kalista is gigantic in this game.
And he's doing a fantastic job on it. Has the QSS, has the Guardian Angel. And these extra little item stats, they're really helping out. They're not visible, obviously, in the gold score at the top, but all these ornaments, and a little bit surprising, Secret didn't actually elect to go for Salvation. So
yeah, the Ardent Sensor.
Yeah, Ardent Sensor for Kalista, so really just putting all the eggs in the Kalista basket. 30 seconds until that Infernal Dragon comes up, and really, it's a very tall ask on the Zoe for her to somehow find an opening for Gen.G in this team fight.
Well, teleport comes in from Rascal. As you can see, Gen.G are looking to fight over this Infernal Drake. Ixu tagged by a bubble, but just bellows breath to get it out of the way. And now Secret battle dancing over. He needs to battle dance onto Hybrid at the beginning of these fights to activate that Ardent Sensor. We'll see whether Gen.G can navigate this team fight effectively. Another Ram will be available here for Gen.G, as APK have started up this dragon, and Clid is looking to get in position, but he's not going to be able to, as there's the knock-up. Ixu going to go up into the air alongside Secret, but Flawless getting pushed away to the side. B2D gets rid of him there. As you can see, the Ram will be jumped back, but Life is going to block it out, and Hybrid now finds B2D in the back line. Hybrid flashes out to try and keep himself alive, as Rascal is at full health, but can't actually affect his team fight whatsoever. Secret's going to burn down as B2D picks up that kill, but he'll pay for it with his life. Now Ixu's in trouble. Ruler taking control of this team fight, but Hybrid's still at full health. Same can't be said here for Cover and for Flawless, as yeah, Ruler just sidesteps the scat of the week, but now might walk over Hybrid, who is going to jump on top of Ruler here. Now we're going toe-to-toe. He's still at a GA, and that is a very dead misfortune. Knock-up comes in as Hybrid not quite in position to help out his jungler, as Clid looking to try and get out of here, but I don't think he's going to be able to. The Ren slows him down. Another tunnel will come in, as there's the knock-up. Able to get one back there is decent, as Clid, a lot of movement speed, but not going to be able to get it out of the way of that one. And Rascal, he's the last man standing.
He is the last man standing in that team fight, and it was super bloody. It's going to bring the game to soul point for both of these parties. So the pillar interrupts Ixu, and that was a really good ult by Rascal, stopping the Recon engage. But just take a look at this. BDD barely misses the bubble onto Hybrid, and that actually causes him to have to flash to get back into his team to reposition. Ixu tanking up so much of the damage. Flawless threatening Ruler constantly inside of this team fight. Hybrid doing so much with the Rens and just overall damage as Rascal, he goes golden, and then immediately after coming out of stasis, flashes over to the right-hand side so that the Ren cannot affect him. Cover ends up getting killed by Ruler, and then I don't know what Ruler was doing, going on an adventure into the red side jungle and running into mid lane, accepting that Hybrid lays in wait somewhere over there and just letting him recall. But as we come into live, we got more action.
Yep, a little bit more as we're posturing around the Baron. As this was indeed just the end of this team fight, but I believe that's a bubble landing. Bellow's Breath going to be a pretty good ability as Rascals once again picked up a Call of the Forge God. Absconds his way back. Last team fight, 10,000 gold for Hybrid. That's the highest DPM 80 carry right here at work, but 8.6k ain't bad for Ruler either. We're going to be looking at both of these players to take control of this game. 2,000 gold is by no means an insurmountable lead here for APK, but certainly making Gen.G work for it this time around. This is so different from last game as Rascal's looking to get the knock up onto Ixu, but he may not be the priority target that they're looking for, as now it's the real Ornhorn, blocked immediately by the door. As there's the Fate's Call, it gets the Rakan in. He manages to charm up 4 members, but immediately dies as Hybrid now trying to dance around. The Rend is going to do so much work, as the QSS also does, but there's the second stun. That's going to lock that one down. APK still just rolling in over the top as Hybrid at half health after he comes out of the GA. And this is still a one-team fight for APK. Or actually, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but Gen.G lose BDD, and APK just lose Secret.
Oh, and Rascal just got tagged at the very end.
Come in. Oh my goodness, he's going to steal it away. His Flawless is going to fall down. It's a 1-for-1 in the end, and eventually a 2-for-2 as the dust settles. But can APK get onto this Baron?
And the thing about APK losing Flawless there is they don't have Smite, but they do still have Kalista. Rascal has Teleport when he's up, so does BDD. This can get a little bit dicey. Now, again, they have the Ren, so...
And Hybrid's just so big, he can tank it forever.
Yeah, this is pretty hard. Actually, it's still not, it's not even, you know,
yeah, Klid's not going to steal that one as he gets knocked up and will be taken down. Okay, able to use the subjugate, keeps himself alive as Ixu goes down. Ruler still has a lot of damage. And yeah, BDD's running at full speed to get over here. There's the pillar in a good position, but look at the health bar of this damn Kalista. Oh, the bullet time is huge, but not quite huge enough as Klid is going to go down. The Fates Call at perfect timing this time as Hybrid's learnt from previous mistakes, and Secret is going to have his life saved.
What a close call. If any of them went down right there, it would have been Infernal Soul 100%. For Gen.G. So this whole thing starts off with a really reckless Ornn ultimate. One-man target onto Ornn himself. And pay attention to live. The replay, I mean, the positioning for this is actually going to be really scary. Hybrid somehow managed to hop over the pillar. I didn't even think that would be possible. I thought he was really going to be pinned. He goes into, okay, we're coming back into live.
We got another team fight as BDD is running to get himself out of there as Flawless is going to go into the Void Rush, looks for BDD in the backline, but I don't think he's going to be able to find it. They're down to his GA as Rascal goes golden. This Rek'Sai's still dangerous, but he's going to be taken down. Rascal grabs it, and now APK going for a last-ditch effort on this Infernal Soul. Looks like they can do it. As Ixu's looking to try and charge his way out. Hybrid does so much damage now with the augmentation of this dragon. Gen.G still looking to try and chase as Secret and Flawless are still dead, but they're not going to be able to, and now 3,000 gold in the lead is APK, augmented by this Infernal Soul.
They have the Infernal Soul now, and with that, it's pretty hard for me to imagine them to ever lose a team fight. There's 25 seconds on the Rek'Sai. Is Gen.G going to try to just flip the game? I don't think that they can. Ornn and Syndra, more than enough wave clear to deny anything meaningful. They should be able to get the inhibitor at the very least, unless APK donks off right here in a second. But it doesn't look like that is going to be the case. So Elder coming up in 5 minutes. That's one of the Hail Marys that they can try to get. But the problem is in this team fight, so Secret locks up all of the members. Flawless just goes a little bit too reckless. And even though they managed to lock up Hybrid, with the taunt onto Rascal. They all posture way too long to ensure Flawless's demise, and in doing so, they lose position to get back into the Dragon Pit, and thus the Kalista is able to free deal with Ixu taking up the Dragon damage. They eventually rend, get the Infernal Soul. So Gen.G just really playing a little bit sloppy. Now, on the upside, BDD 1 kill away from the boss.
Exactly. Sitting on 999 right now, guys. In the LCK, there's the Ornhorn, lands onto cover, looks for the knockup, doesn't get it, and there's another one. The Ram is passed back there by Ixu. It's literal ping pong right here, as we've got the bubble landing, but Hybrid makes it to safety. And he sold his GA, now has himself the Lifeline passive in form of the Phantom Dancer. And still, that 700 gold bounty on his head, 6, 1, and 8 for this Kalista. He's been playing very, very well so far, but Lord Dominic's Regard is now completed for Ruler. He also has those 6 items, and they have 2 Infernal Drakes in comparison to the 3 that APK have. And APK do have that extra damage available from the Soul, but this misfortune is still no joke at this stage of the game. As you have a look at the total damage dealt, 40k out of Ruler, 33 out of Hybrid. But even the top lane is doing massive amounts of work, 25 to 30 as far as the mid lane is concerned. Just giant damage numbers here in this game for 44 minutes.
Yeah, these are super insane. And APK now in the next team fight, they should have an explosive, obscene amount of damage. 3 minutes until Infernal comes out. And what Gen.G really need if they want to win a team fight is Rascal to have a very clutch key ultimate, or for a multi-man bullet time to just straighten APK up without them being able to have a say. Now, Kalista doesn't have Guardian Angel, actually traded it in for another item. Rek'Sai almost has the Guardian Angel coming up. It looks like actually they want to give the blue buff over to, okay, it's actually going to go over to cover. So yep. Hybrid just leashing it a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like cover is going to be building towards Azonia's next, but does have the stopwatch available. Syndra in pretty good fighting form right now, and actually has a pretty huge CS advantage. As BDD has his Banshee's Veil, looking for his Rabadon's Death Cap, but he is far further behind than he wants to be for this stage of the game. As APK just looking to clear out these super creeps that are heading forward. Rascal splitting on the bottom side. And APK might just get pinned and pulled around this map a little bit more than they'd otherwise want to, as 2 minutes until that Elder Drake is available. You can see Rascal trying to get vision of where APK are. I don't think he spotted Hybrid on his way over. This Clid's just clearing out tunnels. And Gen.G do get themselves into a position where they can arrest some vision control. But this game is on a nice edge right now, and not what I was expecting here from this series. A Secret gets his quickness stolen.
Yeah. This is definitely a pretty dicey spot. Baron is coming up in about 10 seconds. And Gen.G, I mean, using the Baron stats, I mean, that alone maybe invalidates the ornaments while it persists. They have a minute and a half. They need to just be patient and not get overeager with any of these team fights.
Yeah, but you can see posturing forward. All 5 members in very aggressive stance right now, but none of the follow-up damage here from Gen.G is actually landing. Neither is that bubble, and Cover not too worried about it. He has that Banshee's Veil available. And Gen.G get inside track on this mid lane, but Hybrid's just getting to work on this Baron by himself.
Yeah, he has
no
enough
vision
life. Yeah, there's no vision, and I don't even know if Gen.G anticipate this, but I mean, it's already gone.
It's gone, absolutely.
Yeah.
As Clid moves on in, can they actually win a subsequent team fight? Is going to be the question. As Secret's going to go down. Oh, very, very low, but doesn't actually die just yet. Gets a decent knockup before he does eventually fall. As Flawless into that GA that we were talking about, but he's going to be punished once again.
Minion wave in mid!
2 swift kills. You're exactly right. The minion wave is here, and Gen.G looking to try and just pile in. The backs are going to be started as Hybrid does get back to base. But Gen.G, it's now a 5 versus 3. They will immediately re-kill this inhibitor in mid lane. Okay, it is a positive Baron power play so far, but that may not continue for much longer. As Ixu taking a fair bit of damage. And remember, Ruler has to be respected. He does so much damage right now.
He does an obscene amount, and okay, Ixu has teleport. I don't know if that minion wave is actually going to get the inhibitor, but even if it does, the Baron goes the way of APK, but unfortunately, no one from Gen.G, even with their teleports available, thought to just try to stop the backs. And had someone done that, it would have probably resulted in the end of the game. So, just bit bizarre thinking. Ixu, oh man.
Well, we're going to have the Unbreakable there as Ixu going to have his Searing Charge stopped. There's the ultimate that was stolen but not returned. There to Ixu. Cover over here, does have a fair bit of damage potential, but now this is going to be messy. Flawless still running from base. Secret does find his way down here as this minion wave is still getting to work. Teleport being used now, multiple teleports to get Gen.G back to try and save their Nexus turrets, but that's going to leave 3 people ready to get collapsed on by APK as Hybrid throws out the Fate's Call. There's the quickness for the double lockup. Life and Ruler both going to get eradicated by one orb as now Rascal trying to run away. The Abscond comes in, the triple kill for cover as Rascal running as fast as he can, and he's going to go golden eventually. Falls down to the Callista, but gets one back onto Flawless, and now APK should be able to win the game.
They're gonna win the game. They have the Infernal Soul, they have Baron minions in close proximity. It's only one cannon, it doesn't even matter. All they need is the minion debuff. They don't even need that. Ornn is just way too tanky. An APK in an absolute slugfest of a game, 46 kills, managed to win game number 2. We're going to game 3.
That was insane. Slugfest is exactly the right word for it. Over 50 minutes in the end for that particular one. And APK bring it back to 1-1. And we were talking about this. We were talking about how pivotal it is for APK to get even a point out of this series. And they've already done that. And now they move with momentum into a game number 2.
Well, I'm trying to really think about what happened this game as Gen.G really uncharacteristically just rushed 2 really key parts of the game, and it came back to bite them both times. They had such an insane advantage in the mid game. They were so poised to just eventually get the Infernal Dragon and coast to the very end. They donked off in mid with a really reckless, haphazard fight, and they got punished for it. They chased on way too much. Hybrid able to sustain back up, and then APK was able to turn the fight, as their team composition should be able to do, given that Gen.G is very reliant on combos, very reliant on synergy, having the Ornn ultimate on the Sylas, having Zoe bubbles, or having key ultimates like MF. They didn't even have it in that first team fight. Then there was a follow-up reckless team fight where they just tried to bite off a little bit more than they can chew. Hybrid going 1v9, and then at the very end, when they had the minion waves in mid, the inhibitor down, minions basically at APK's base, no one thought to try to even stop the backs, despite having teleport on Zoe, teleport on Sylas, which means that they would have been able to rejoin the fray after a bit of a song and a dance, and so APK outmuscled them at so many stages of the game and end up winning.
The thing that I love about it is that it was APK playing honest League of Legends, because this game was so incredibly close, and oftentimes in instances like that, Gen.G just win because their carries are more consistent than that of their opponents. And especially against APK, that is absolutely huge that they're able to do this in that sort of environment, because you're exactly right. Slugfest is entirely the word. This was so sick out of Rascal. But honestly, like, these team fights were absolutely insane throughout this game, and in the end, it was honestly just better macro play and shot calling out of APK.
Yeah, APK, they played a lot better in the team fights, and they just ultimately made a lot better decisions throughout the course of the game. Even the one at the very end was very dicey, but they managed to sort of guillotine Gen.G in the bottom lane to finally conclude this super long game with so many kills, very uncharacteristic of LCK. There was really no lull states in this game whatsoever.
And it almost felt like there should have been, right? Because there are a lot of these team fights that seem to be like over no real objective on the map. It was just, let's fight because we feel like we have an advantage in positioning. And half the time, it was Gen.G going for fights that they weren't able to win. Yeah. As you saw, this was a really cute kill onto Secret, but B2D spent too much time in there and was taken down by Hybrid, who was just a raid boss in this game. You mentioned the 1v9. It was very impressive out of Hybrid on this Kalista this time around. As Cover had no way of getting over this wall, so he was definitely dead. And Ruler just walking the wrong direction.
Yeah, even his response to the first spear was a little bit slow. You can see he actually kept inputting clicks forward despite the first Kalista auto having already gone off on him. Reacted to it really slow, and honestly, there's nothing that MF can do at that point. This was just one of those situations that really goes to say, why are you even searching for Kalista in your red-hand side jungle? Because there's no universe where MF ever wins the fight. This team fight was one where right here, Flawless is going to go down, and the other members of Gen.G needed to follow Kalista and Syndra. They needed to walk out sooner, but instead, all four of them, they wanted to hold hands around Flawless's corpse, and in doing so, allowed APK the time necessary to do the Infernal Soul for free, capture it as well. This Baron fight, this was that ending that we talked about, so really good job by Flawless interrupting Ruler's ultimate, but then Flawless goes down, Hybrid gets pushed to the bottom by the pillar. Right here, Silas or Zoe stop the backs of Syndra and Kalista. With your teleport available, the game probably ends.
And this was two people teleporting out of this area, by the way, to try and protect a Nexus turret, which left Gen.G entirely vulnerable. And honestly, spelt the end of the game. It was a fumble. It was a fumble from Gen.G in a macro sense that lost them the game in the end. After all of these crazy team fights, we have a look, have a listen in to Hybrid's perspective.
얘들아, 조이 장로라서.
조이 포켓 생각해, 조이 포켓 생각해.
신경 쓰지 마. 안 죽어.
무조건 끝났어. 포켓 생각해. 장로야, 장로.
얘들아, 무조건 끝났어. 이거 무조건 끝났어. 아, 무조건 끝났어. 우리 앞길 막지 마. 절대 못 막아. 스윙. 나 죽여.
Oh my god. Well, we're going to need some new microphones, I think, after this one, because I believe Ixu just absolutely obliterated theirs. As you see, in the end, gigantic damage numbers for almost everyone. Even Ornn doing 29,000 damage in this game. Rek'Sai with 21. Just nutty stuff. Really impressive. But I have to say, Hybrid was amazing in that game. When it came to late game team fights, a rookie 80 carry coming in here for APK, had a rough start to the season, but has really found his groove, and it's made APK so fun to watch.
It really has, and APK, I mean, if they can manage to upset Gen.G here, that would be... I think that would really cement their round 2 turnaround, because they've had such a difficult struggle in the early half of the split, and now coming into tonight's match, everyone thought they were just probably going to get crushed 2-0. It's nice to see they won game number 2. We'll see what they can do in game number 3.